So what makes a great Contra game? Well, fun and unique weapons, huge over-the-top boss fights, non-stop running gun fun, and also good level design. There are dozens and dozens of levels throughout all the Contra games. These levels are essential to creating an intense atmosphere and filling the game with fun stuff to do and cool enemies to kill. Well, on today's show, we're taking a look at the top 15 Contra levels throughout the series. From the insane over-the-top fun levels, to some gimmicky levels with the innovative or neat idea, to some that are just pure Contra staple feeling levels. Sit back and join us for the top 15 Contra levels. Number 15. Kicking off this list is a game known for being wacky and over-the-top fun. That would be, of course, Neo Contra on the PlayStation 2. In the beginning of the game, you can choose from any one of the 4 levels to start with, similar to a Mega Man game. Well, if you choose Stage 4, you will see why it's on this list. At the start of the stage, you see a cutscene where Bill and or Jaguar are running super fast. The camera pans down to show their feet, and what they're actually running on is the top of the blades of a helicopter. Now that's funny. The whole first section of this level, the characters are just constantly running atop these moving blades and just fighting enemies like, yeah, this is everyday life as the Contra, no big deal. Continuing on while still running on top of these blades, you fight a huge airship which you eventually board and search for the boss. These guys are so skilled they can even continue to run on the blades even when the helicopter's upside down. Check that out. And to top off the level, you fight the stage boss called Animal Contra, who is a talking dog. And of course, all while riding on torpedoes. What a level. The next cool Contra stage on this list comes from Shattered Soldier, again on the PlayStation 2. This game was released a few years earlier and is strictly a side-scroller. Again, like Neo Contra, you can choose to start from any stage you like. So the stage on this list is Stage 2, The Train. The level starts off with the 2 heroes shooting through a sign and jumping onto the road in these futuristic hoverboard-type motorcycles. The whole first section of the level, you're fighting this huge machine which appears to be a ship. Then about halfway through the fight, it morphs like a transformer and turns into a flying ship, continuing to try and kill the protagonists. In the second part of the level, you continue riding on these hovering motorcycles, this time fighting a huge train alongside of you, with the camera angles changing multiple times from riding towards the screen to riding away from the screen. The level finally culminates by boarding this huge train and eventually fighting the end boss, a take on the train boss from Contra Hardcore. Number 13. Contra 4 on the DS was an amazing handheld game that brought new ideas to the franchise while still staying true to the old school Contra feel. One of the new stages they created was level 5, the ocean. In this stage, you ride on these jet skis throughout the level. It works well with the dual screens as the water line splits the 2 screens, with the water under you on the bottom screen and above water part on the top screen. Enemies will come at you from the top and bottom of the screen, making it a hectic level, but still very fun in my opinion. As with the rest of the game, the controls work great and the graphics are colorful and detailed. The final boss's level is a huge fish swimming in the water below you. Watch out for his laser shooting eyes as you try and take him down. Overall, this is a neat and original level for Contra 4. Number 12. Here's a game you haven't seen at all in these top 10 lists. It's Contra Force, a lost Contra game. A quick recap for those not familiar with this game. It was supposed to be released only in Japan and titled Archound. Well, the game was never released over in Japan, and Konami then had a bright idea to just throw a Contra name on it, calling it Contra Force, and releasing it here only in the USA. What a weird turn of events. A game called Archound meant for Japan only release was somehow now called Contra Force and was American only release. Anyway, the level we speak of here is level 4, which takes place entirely on top of planes. Yeah, for this level your hero is walking on the wings and throughout the cabins of planes. A neat effect here is the wind, and is always pushing your character towards the back of the plane. So if you don't move and just stand there, you'll eventually be pushed off the side of the plane. The level gets more crazy as it goes on, expecting you to cross over to other planes by walking from wing to wing. One false step here and you'll be in for a skydive with no parachute. Towards the end of the level, the planes and wings get even smaller, so be careful and take your time to walk across these wings perfectly. Number 11. Back to Neo Contra as you'd expect. This game has a ton to offer and was a welcome surprise when we played it. This time we're talking about Stage 2. The intro opens up with a nod to Shattered Soldier, showing the motorcycles crash through the sun as you've seen earlier on this list. Well, apparently that was just a TV screen, and our current heroes Bill Rise and Jaguar come crashing through the TV on their own riding machines. This time it's some dinosaur looking thing that runs super fast. The whole first section of this level, the camera angle changes quite often as you fight baddies from all angles, including this car on the other side of the road behind you, and eventually an entire passenger plane. But the level's not over yet, of course not. This is a Contra game after all, so we're just beginning here. The second half of the level, you are climbing along this wall at a very odd camera angle while this monster chases you. Eventually at the end of the level, you fight this boss, first knocking off his metal part, covering his face, to expose an oddly shaped mouth and jaw he has. What a nicely designed boss. And after all this, it still isn't over yet. You fight a character called Mystery G to prove to him that you're a real Contra. And then, finally, the actual stage boss, Plant Contra. Jam-packed level if you ask me. Number 10. Contra Rebirth was part of a short series of Rebirth games by Konami, including Castlevania and Gradius. Contra Rebirth was a download-only game on the Wii, with 5 levels to play. The third level you play while riding on top of a cargo truck, with these enemies flying in at you and several bosses to kill. The main fun and craziness in this level comes from the mechanical llamas that are all over the place. Some bring you weapons and some just help you get across large gaps in the road. Careful not to shoot their heads off, or they will stop running, which will either cause you to die from not getting back to the truck, or just missing out on the weapon entirely. This is a seriously crazy level with missiles everywhere, and a horde of these llamas towards the middle of the level, which you ride across to finally get to the stage boss. The boss is no joke either, as he has a ton of missiles and lasers to shoot at you, while keeping the fight confined to this truck you must stay on. Number 9. For number 9 level on this list, we're heading back to the OG Contra, the first one ever, and that would be Contra Arcade from 1988. Levels 2 and 4 used a unique pseudo 3D perspective to portray these base levels as you travel back towards the screen exploring each room. The object here is to shoot these lighted sensors out so you can advance to the next room. There's an electric bar in the front here, making it so you can only move left or right. Push up and you'll get shocked and are momentarily unable to move. Don't forget there's also a time limit on this level to keep you moving. This 3D style level is carried over to many of the home ports, including of course our favorite, the NES version, which gave us this nice groove to listen to as we play. Contra 4 on the DS even paid tribute to these style levels by adding 3 of their own in Contra 4 on the DS, in stages 3, 6, and 8. Number 8. As you may remember, we like Contra Hardcore a lot on this channel. And also, if you remember, there are multiple paths and endings to the game, giving it a huge variety and much replayability. The true final level is the longest path in the game, and it's debatable if it's the hardest path or not. While the level starts out with stuff everywhere as you expect from this game, including a cool mini-boss made up of a bunch of dudes stacked on top of each other, making different formations. Not too hard at all, but the next is the main antagonist of the game, Colonel Bahamut. This fight is pretty hard if you don't know what's going on here. He even offers you the chance to join with him before the fight starts, which if you agree to, then the game just ends here as you join the baddie and become the villain yourself. But should you choose to fight him and beat him, you will soon realize that he's not even the final boss of the game. You must now attempt to board a missile holding the alien cell and destroy it. Of course Deadeye Joe is here again and wants one last fight with you, while making you jump across 4 smaller rockets. Finally aboard the main large rocket and climb your way to the top, where you meet the true final boss of the game. No, not this thing. This badass creepy thing. Number 7. For the first and probably not the last time on this list, we're talking about Contra 3 on the Super Nintendo. Specifically, Stage 3. This is one of the 4 side-scrolling levels in the game, and is jam-packed all the way through. It might start out a little bit tame with these snipers shooting at you and some turrets rolling around, but it gets pretty hard. By the way, look at the background. That's some seriously detailed parallax scrolling. The fire gun works best in this level for a few reasons. First, these annoying flying guys will pick you up and kill you if you don't manage to kill them first. The fire seems to work the best on them. Next section you fight this boss with a drill that comes up every once in a while. Of course his weak spot is on the bottom and no gun reaches it. You're expected to hang onto the bar while spinning around him and shoot up when you're underneath of him. When he dies you better get off him and back to the bar above you, or you'll go down in flames with him. This is of course unless you have the fire gun, which can simply shoot right through him and hit the weak spot. Piece of cake. This boss isn't done yet, of course. He then follows you up the wall, shooting little missiles at you, and eventually you have to fight him one last time here. After that, there's of course another mini-boss, and then you make your way into this building, scaling to the top on these spinny things while trying to dodge all the turrets. You eventually fight these two little robots in this locked room. After dispatching them, you finally fight the stage boss, Big Fuzz. I love this guy. His creepy intro is the best, as he pokes through the wall and then rips it apart as he comes in. The boss itself looks pretty badass, but only has 3 attacks. The missiles he shoots from his eyes, the flames that go around the room, and the bombs which you have to avoid. Finally, when you give him the killing blow, his hands release the doors and he decapitates himself. Dang, what a great level. Number 6. Going back to Contra Hardcore once again, we're talking about this water level here, which is on the same path as the true ending you just seen earlier in this video. The level opens up with you atop some kind of ship. You have to fight this flying plane that shoots loads of bullets at you and drops these pods on you, but if you shoot them they explode, so try and just dodge them instead. Then the screen moves up, showing what's underneath you. It's another mini-boss under the water who damages your boat when you kill it. So then you jump on these sweet jet skis and fight the third mini-boss of this level, who's jumping in and out of the water and diving straight for you. After he is destroyed, the jet skis come out of the water and you are now riding on the land, like some sort of hoverboard type machine. At this point, all 3 mini-bosses you just fought earlier all come back and join together as one larger machine. The fight is in 3 phases, with each phase the 3 machines transforming into a different type of robot trying to kill you. The first one is easy and basically a human-like figure, jumping around and doing backflips and stuff. The second is a bird-like figure, which is the most annoying and most unpredictable. He has so many different attacks you never know what you're going to get. The last one is this tank-like guy on tracks with 2 arms and a javelin, but he's not as bad as the bird guy. And that's it, that's the entire level. Just one boss fight to the next. It's tough at first until you get all the attacks and patterns memorized, and still, after that it's not easy. Number 5. We're going back to the well here for a third time now with Contra Hardcore. I mean, we're not expecting to see Contra Hardcore over this list? Come on. This time it's level 5. Here's where you find out Professor's working with the antagonist Colonel Bahamut. You can choose to surrender here or fight, and if you choose to fight them, well, then you'll be subject to the evil doctor's experimental mutations. This whole level, the doc is combining 2 different enemies and making one mutated one and testing it out on you. There's a mix of flying creatures and flowers and all types of stuff. But don't shoot the 4th one though. He's a friendly guy and brings you power-ups and bombs. Finally, after a few more creations, the whole lab goes haywire and a final huge creation is born. I guess the doc got what he deserves here, as the mutation eats him first, before finally coming after you. Another cool level idea from the Contra Hardcore game. Number 4. The next level on our list comes from Hardcore Uprising this time. Uprising was the last Contra game released on consoles back in 2011 for the Xbox 360 and the PS3. So being in this generation of consoles, it has some nice HD graphics and sound. The level we'll talk about here is Stage 6, the Capital Railway. This intense level is fought entirely on a moving train. Well, several of them to be exact, as they get destroyed and fall off the track numerous times. You have to constantly jump from one train to the other, going from the top to the bottom, to different trains the whole level. It's crazy. This is a rather long stage consisting of 2 mini-bosses, both fought of course while still riding on trains. Finally get to the end section where the camera angles change and you fight the stage boss, Arachne. The screen is zoomed out very far and it's hard to see exactly what's going on here sometimes. I kept thinking these lights in the background were lasers coming down at me. Of course the boss destroys the trains you're on, keeping you moving at all times. The boss fight's not that bad with a little practice and understanding. Number 3. Staying with the Hardcore Uprising game, we're looking at Stage 4, the Capital Highway this time. The helicopter drops you off on these nice hoverboards as you ride along the highway. Meanwhile, the entire level is full of cars trying to run you off the road and crash into you. I mean, these guys are relentless. There's a few neat mini-bosses in this level as well. I really like the art style and graphics and bright colors of this game. After the first mini-boss, you go through a tunnel with more cars risking their lives to crash into you, and then some electric cars riding on the roofs. I don't even know, man, it's just wild. The second mini-boss is pretty cool too, and after you kill him, you gotta slide underneath him like straight out of an action movie. Love this level, my favorite level of the game for sure. Then toward the end of the level, your hoverboards take flight and you fight one of the coolest bosses in the game, the Lux Corona. Now you're flying like a side-scrolling shooter game. This boss is fun and has so many different phases.
Now it's my turn.
Number 2. Coming at number 2 is Stage 4 from Contra 3 The Alien Wars on Super Nintendo. Yeah, you knew this crazy level would be on the countdown. The level starts out riding atop motorcycles and fighting some tanks and other enemies. At one point, a huge ship comes down with all these weapons like lasers, swinging arms, and dudes on wires. I don't even know. But this ship is heavily armed and ready to kill you. After that, you fight a little mini-boss here, and then the fun begins. You board a helicopter, hang on a missile with just one hand, and fight another mini-boss. Man, these guys gotta be in good shape to hold on for one hand for that long. Then the missile is shot from the helicopter, and there's a ton of missiles coming at different speeds at you, and you gotta jump between them from missile to missile to stay alive. And of course, doing all this is not enough for a Contra game. Oh no. You gotta fight the boss while doing all this. Sure, why not? This level was so cool and intense, it wasn't even attempted in the first Game Boy port. Definitely the craziest and most fun level of Contra 3 The Alien Wars. This hanging on the missile idea wasn't forgotten with Contra 3 though. Oh no. You do this again in Contra 4, only this time it's a larger missile. A little bit in Contra Hard Corps also. Don't forget Saturn Soldier, and again in Hardcore Uprising. The Contra franchise loves having you hang off missiles and rockets. Number 1. And now number 1. It all comes down to the final level here. Which is the best level from all Contra games? Well, you might not like my answer on this one, but it encompasses a theme of levels from multiple games, and that level is of course the Alien Lair, generally found as the last level of a Contra game. We'll mention other games here, but the Alien Lair that takes the top spot on this list is Stage 6, the final level of Contra 3 The Alien Wars. The creepy music and atmosphere is there, the background and level design is alien-like and out of this world. They even brought back all the old bosses from previous games and included them in here, such as the Power Slug from the original NES Contra, the Heart Boss, which is the final boss from the first Contra game, Kim Ko, the final boss of Super C on NES, the Flying Metallic Alien, a boss from Super Contra Arcade, and Jagger Freud is the main baddie, the final boss from Super Contra Arcade. This time they even added a little extra, but making you fight the brain part of Jagger Freud after his body is defeated. It's worth mentioning that Alien level, Stage 8 from the first Contra game on NES, was just as eerie and offsetting as this version. Also level 8 from Super C on NES did a good job of making the final level alien-based and scary feeling. For the multiple uses of Alien Lair theme, the odd feeling it presents, an out-of-this-world atmosphere, and sick boss battles, Stage 6, the Alien Lair from Contra 3 The Alien Wars, takes its top spot on this list. Hey guys, thanks for watching. If you want to see the full video review of any of these games, click up here to the top right to watch our Contra playlist. If you want to see the video about the game in number 1 spot, click down here to the bottom right. Thanks for watching and have a great day.